What's going on, Cowboys Nation? Welcome back to my channel. As you know, it's your girl, Cravin Cowboys. And shout out to everybody in the chat already in the building. And just to let y'all know, I'm actually late. Shout out to Kelvin. He jumped on and said, am I late or early? Honestly, y'all, I was just still trying to get some of these technical things on. Just being outside sometimes, kind of throws off my Wi-Fi a little bit. So I just try to make sure everything is just running a little bit smooth, before I jump on, because sometimes it kind of, there's a lag here and there. So I appreciate everybody being patient with me, and thank you so much for being in the building. Kelvin, like I said, Kelvin, Jamison Taylor, Nisi, my girls, Nisi loves beauty. Appreciate y'all so much for being in the building. Thank y'all so much. As you guys know, if you guys been following me, it's my day off. Wednesdays are, my day to chill and kind of put a little, kind of put a little bit more into my content, since I do have a little bit of the extra time. So like I said, appreciate everybody being in the building today. I finally got my next show up and running. I'm just putting in some work in. If you guys saw my previous show last week, outside of the one about Kendricks dropping the what I think is the cheat codes to the defense. As you guys know, I started my series for the off season, my countdown to training camp. You guys know I'll be going out there at the beginning of next month. So, just really excited about that. And, finally got my next install coming for you guys. I hope, and to everybody, because everybody in the building, everybody that's watching on the replay, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for, for clicking that button, hitting that like button, hit that share button. Like I always like to say before we get started, before we get too deep into the content, hit like, hit subscribe, hit share. If you're listening on Twitter, give me a retweet. I'm just last time I checked, I'm just 8 followers, guys, 8 followers shy, or 8 subscribers, I should say, 8 subscribers shy of 300 on YouTube. And I'm really trying to make sure I hit that milestone, just kind of for, for me, for myself, for my channel, as a, a little bit of a confidence builder. So, this is my, my second year going, making my content, for the Cowboys. And I just really, like I said, just kind of gives me a little bit of a confidence boost. I'm saying, being able to go out there, see with my own eyes, see what our guys look like, and then, also bring back, clips for you guys, for you guys to see, yeah, we do get those, the nice, pretty pictures that, the media could put out in, but sometimes you kind of get their perspective. You kind of get what they want to show. You know what I mean? And this, like this, just for example, this kind of clip that you might see. And for not just me, from other content creators out there, giving you guys great content, giving you guys great feedback about what about our team out there. As like you said, you guys can see. You see the safeties, you got the defensive line in the back, and the O line in the back as well, just getting some work in. So it's just, it's like I said, and like the page says, if you guys can, please donate to my Cash App. Doing this, going out to training camp, takes time. It does cost, but like I'm not out here begging for money. I just, like I said, this is just a hobby I picked up, and I love going out there. Like I said, to see the team with my own eyes, and like I said, really get in touch with Cowboys Nation, and talk about the growth of our team, and what we can do to get to that that 6th championship ring. So if you guys can hit the Cash App, follow me on IG, follow me on X, or follow me on Twitter. I'm on Facebook as well, but I'm not really that active on Facebook. Just keeping it real with you guys. But yeah, definitely hit that follow button on my Twitter, on IG as well. That's where actually I do post most of my camp clips, and clips from games as well, if I'm able to go to games. And yeah, just follow me on IG just in general, because like I said, that's where I post a lot of my training camp clips that I may not get to post on YouTube and things like that. So I'm just keeping up. Yeah, thank you, Love Beauty. Appreciate you. Kelvin said, just make sure the heat doesn't kill your hair. Hey, I feel that. Just my job. If you guys been following me, you guys know I work for the post office, so I'm already outside. So as I got to keep the protective style in. You know what I'm saying? So that I'm doing in that way to kind of protect my hair, because yeah, working in this heat can definitely take a toll on anybody's hair. Not just people who work outside, but it's definitely a different beast. You know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely used to it. And that's kind of actually got me more used to being outside, and I kind of don't really mind the heat too much. It's definitely hot, but the shade's kind of over my in my outside deck right now. So I'm actually kind of chilling. I like it. So yeah, so I ain't gonna hold you guys too long. We're gonna go ahead and jump into the show. Like I said, I wanted to bring you guys this next part of my series, but just keeping it all the way really, just keeping it real with you guys. Like, this series was really more of a way just for really just a challenge for myself. Like I said, it was a way for me to you know number one, to look forward to training camp, but also to, give myself something to do, and also to kind of, help me to get more invested in the team, and also to learn, number one, about these rookies that we have coming in, but also at the same time to kind of learn about, the coaching staff, the new hires that they had also this past, off season. We have Zimmer, we had some of the positional coaches, and we also have, we had hired a Paul Gunther, who's coming in to help with the run defense, and then also on the other side we have Steve Shimko that they brought in to help out Schottenheimer. So that's a good, just some of these, we talk about, how well the players have to do, especially, coming to this year, we're even more. I don't want to say Cowboys are even more on a prove it type year, but we're gonna have to see how these guys are able to do, with fresher legs, with fresher eyes, with younger, with more youth, and going down the depth chart of several of these rooms that we have. We have a lot of young guys who are, who seem eager to learn, who seem willing to learn, and also to come on and, you know, able to absorb this information and just, just be able to contribute to the team. And already, we're seeing just some of the young guys, being talked about, like Amaris Leafau having, showing, just really just, how in the words of Zimmer, how brilliant he is, and just how well he's able to, absorb the information, and, and tell them about other positions on the field. And that's something that Zimmer is trying to also bring in this year with him coming in, and, not just, focusing on one particular, one particular positional group, but also making sure that the defense, the linebackers, the secondary, the front four, or front three, however he decides to run the defense, is aware of what every group is supposed to be doing on the field, so that way they can have more success. So, like I said, let me actually, let me go ahead and bring up the show. 1 second, you guys. Like I said, thank you so much for being here with me. Like I said, and actually seeing this interview over the weekend. Shout out to Foots the King, and I'm actually gonna, like, and everything that actually referenced in the show is gonna be in the description. But before I get started, shout out to Foots the King. He did this great interview with John Machota. I believe last week. I was able to watch it this weekend, and John Machota. Make sure you guys follow him on Twitter. Through my show, you'll see some of his pictures he's provided, the Cowboys Nation, and also just some of the points he makes, on his show. I think Talking Cowboys with, other guys that are on that podcast. He actually brought up a good question when he was talking to Fusta King, and he posed the question: would you rather have a more talented? Actually, I think Foots posed the question, and I think Machota chose. Foots asked, would you rather have a more talented team, or would you rather have a team that like the best coach team? And Machota, he provided examples, and he just said, he would rather have a more talented team because, guys like that are able to help you. What I'm saying, it's common sense. You'd rather have more talent, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for, sometimes we're looking for the bigger names. We're looking for, the guys who have put the numbers in, who was able to impact their team, and just being those star players. We talk about Micah Parsons. We talk about having a CD Lamb. Guys like that who can make a huge impact on the team. So I just think that he made great points, but also at the same time it made me think that it also benefits you to have a good coach team. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you may have a lot of talent on your team. Like, we look at teams like Philadelphia. We look at teams like even Miami, who went out there and gotten big names in the offseason, but it may not necessarily translate on the field, or they may not get to the final. Like, we even seen Miami. They were like the fastest team in the league last year, but they seemed to stall out towards the end of the season last year. So you can have all the talent in the world, but it may not necessarily mean that. Sorry about that, y'all. You may not necessarily mean that you'll make it to that level you're reaching, because you may have some instances of hero ball, or you may just have the coaching may not translate to everybody at the same time. You may not be coaching effectively to, like Zimmer has brought up, this past offseason, just kind of, dialing into these players' learning style, and just, trying to coach these players in the way they're used to being coached, so that way they can learn and also execute when the time comes. So I think it's interesting that Zimmer is not only bringing, being a new coach, bringing a new defense, bringing new things schematically, but also at the same time he's teaching these young players, but also at the same time the vets. We see Jay Lou. We heard Jay Lou talk about how much he's learning. He said, he mentioned that it was going to be a learning curve. But he's excited to learn. D Law, Coach Zgonina talked about how it's going to be important. Trying to, and even Kendricks at the same time. Having vets in the room, but trying to find something new that they can expound on. Just trying to find a way that they can do better in upping their game. So yeah, it was a great interview, Loves Beauty. I just love that, and not just Foots. Shout out to Boss Cowboy having Michael Gelkin come through last night, and having Clarence Hill come through last week. Just these big names that we look to, and these journalists that we look to in Cowboys Nation that provide great information, and it's always just great to see them on our Cowboys content creator shows, because it's just in my opinion, it shows that they're willing to meet us at the same level, but also to give us great information that we can have a little bit more insight on our team. So yeah, let me go ahead and bring up my show and go ahead and get started. All right, so yeah, like I said last week, we kind of knocked down show number 5, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to 4. And like I said, just speaking on coaches, so this week I wanted to look at 4, just, and this is strictly my opinion. We're gonna look at let me bring up my picture so you guys can kind of see me a little bit. Hopefully I'm not blocking out Coach Schottenheimer, but just kind of give a kind of a preliminary type of explanation for my show today. Like I said, we're going to be looking at 4 positional coaches who I think are going to be under heavy watch this season, who I think need to number one, kind of step up. Not step up. I don't want to say step up their game, because these are all great coaches. They were hired for a reason. As you guys can see, I'm going to go ahead and name them off in case you guys don't recognize the pictures. But we do have Scott McCurley, who is the linebackers coach. We have Coach Jeff Zgonina, who was just brought in this offseason, who's going to be coaching the defensive tackle room. We have Mike Solari, who of course we know is the offensive line coach, and then finally, actually, you guys will see later in the show that I have initially I listed Jeff Blasko, the running backs coach. With the Cowboys kind of taking on more of a running back by committee approach this year. I kind of wanted to put Jeff Blasko. I think is maybe has more of a microscope on him, but also at the same time, I kind of wanted to I kind of want to put Schottenheimer up here, because of course we know he's the offensive coordinator. He's drawing up the plays, working with Mike McCarthy as well. Kind of put these players in the best situations, and also like I mentioned earlier, them bringing in Steve Shimko, who has worked previously with Brian Schottenheimer when he was with the Seattle Seahawks. So I think it's a good, like I said, one thing I want to recognize these Cowboys for in this offseason is that I like that they're number one. It seems like they're trying to come with a different lesson this season. They're trying to get back to the basics a little bit. We see Zimmer coming in here talking about fundamentals, and getting back to the basics, being fundamentally sound. Being disciplined. You know what I'm saying, and making sure that the team is right before any individual player, right? And then of course we have Mike McCarthy going into his second year of play calling, and they're actually let me see how I should put this. Like I said, just going into the second year of this offense that last year was an install mode, right? So, and we even I think it was Schottenheimer that mentioned it, that now they can kind of go through, like, they had the 8 days of install during the OTAs, right? And they said they were able to kind of, number one, throw a lot at these guys, but at the same time just kind of see, like I said, the learning styles of these players. And both Mike McCarthy and Zimmer has said they on both sides of the ball, they were throwing a lot at these guys just to see what they could pick up. So it's in his interview, Schottenheimer mentioned that they're able to kind of get through the play that they want to run quickly, because they had the first year of install, so they're able to go over the tape, pick and choose what plays worked, what didn't work, and then put those together, and of course come up with new plays. But also at this, you have that's like I said, familiarity is kind of a key for me this year, because you have a lot of the same faces. You have a lot of new faces as well, like not putting that to the side, but you have a lot of similar faces, in the O line room. Offensive line room, you have a lot of the similar faces. I would say in the running back room, you have Deuce, you have Hunter Lipke, you have Zeke, who was here, a couple years ago, but he's familiar with the coaching staff, familiar with McCarthy, familiar with being in that prominent running back role. Whether he gets a starting role or not. And of course, we know we have Rico Dowdle, we have other guys in that room who have like I said, just have familiarity with each other. And of course, on the defensive side of the room, yeah, we lost some players, but we have a lot of the same faces in the defense. And with the edges, we have Micah Parsons, Sam Williams, D Law. We have just a lot of the guys who have been here in the past couple years, who are just be able to get familiarity. I don't know if you, Let me know if you guys can still hear me. I'm sorry, that's my generator kind of going off. It kind of goes on for about 5-10 minutes, so hopefully it's not too loud. Hopefully it doesn't mess around with the noise. What's up, Lamar? How you doing? Common sense in the building. What's up, fam? How you doing? Thank you for joining me. Appreciate you. I'm just going over my like my next part of my install for my show. For coaches who I just think that, like I said, have to step up their game, just have to contribute just a little bit more. And I think I just think it's in the details. Like I said, it's a lot of familiar faces. A lot of familiar. I mean, even Zimmer said that. Coming back for a second time, he's a lot of guys that were here before. He, of course seeing him around the building, but just kind of had that familiar sense. Bringing in a guy like Kendricks to help out. Explain Zimmer's defense to the younger players and the vets alike. So it's just like I said, a lot of familiarity. I think it's also going to be just going to be a key to maybe helping these guys gel just a little bit better. So we're going to go ahead and jump into the show. If you guys could just do me a favor, I'm going to do a test run, because pretty much my first topic is kind of like a disclaimer for my show, if you will. You know, before I jump into these four coaches, I kind of want to talk about why I don't think Zimmer and McCarthy should be on. I'm not saying they shouldn't be on a hot seat, but I don't think they have as much pressure maybe as some other people may think. Because just personally, I talked about this with my dad. I don't think that they should fire McCarthy or Zimmer. You know what I'm saying? But when the season's over, now of course it depends. If they come out and don't change the team at all, if they the team comes out playing flat, say we don't make the playoffs, or say the second year of the offense doesn't go as well as we think, or Zimmer's defense doesn't translate to the players. And even if so, I don't think that what can you really accomplish. Not saying you can't accomplish anything in 1 year, because a lot of coaches have come in and changed organizations, in just 1 year, one season. But I just think with so many, I'm not saying so many new faces, but with a whole new defensive scheme, I think it's going to take it's going to take more than 1 year for that to translate, and it may not. Some like they're saying players like Maris, players like Sam Williams have said they love this defense, and if these players are the more excited about this defense that these players are, I think the more that they can learn, right? The more they can absorb. So just like I said, just making it easier for these players to learn at the same time, like kind of coming down to their level, and just making them feel like another thing I like that they've done, they brought in Coach Zgonina, Coach Ellis, Coach Greg Ellis, being former players. You know what I'm saying? And I just think it's a kind of like a different level a different level of teaching. You know what I mean? You can learn something from a coach who hasn't played and just has seen a lot of things. Like I don't know a lot of these histories of these coaches and whether they played the sport or not. But just giving an example, I just think it's you get a different element. You know what I'm saying, when you're learning from someone who's played that position for like a Coach Kanina, who I think they said he played the defensive tackle position for I think 17 years. I said, or at least 15 years. You know what I mean? So just having that much experience in that position, like you want to bring him in to teach a guy like Mozzie, or even to kind of up the game of a Carl Davis, who we look at as a journeyman, but he can learn some things that he may not have learned, being with the New England Patriots, or just last year kind of being on the bottom half of our depth chart. So it's just I just like I said, time and time again on my show with Star and even my other shows. Like I said, I'm not necessarily looking for a championship year this year, but I'm definitely looking forward to more of just a way for these guys to progress individually, but also as a team, just to see what kind of success they can have with number one, a different type of discipline, but also a different type of teacher, at being at defensive coordinator. So of course the first coach we're going to look at is Scott McCurley, and then we're pretty much going to go down the line. So like I said, let me run this YouTube, and number one, let me know if you guys can hear it. Let me know if it's choppy or anything like that. Like I said, if it's clear, if you guys could just do me a favor and just give me a thumbs up the chat, just so I know that number one, you can hear it. Number two, and that way, because I kind of rewatched my last show, and the YouTube audio was kind of choppy, unfortunately. And actually, I really want you guys to be able to hear what they're saying. So like I said, just give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear the audio from this YouTube clip and whether or not it's choppy. All right, appreciate you guys. Let me go ahead and bring it up. And this clip is actually going to be from Girls Talk Boys Talk, and it's just like I said, it's just me well, not me explaining it, but me just kind of giving my point as to why I don't think that Zimmer or McCarthy should be, on the hot seat. I think this is, I think this is kind of evident. Me and Star talk about this a lot about how Zimmer just he's kind of leaning more on the positional coaches, the guys that he brought in at the same time, and the guys who have already been here. What I'm saying? He's leaning more on them. Like, and me and Star actually mentioned this last week on our show that, he's going to be coming back to these, he's going to be coming back to these coaches, you know, whether good, whether bad, and, kind of talking out with them by going to the players. Like, he's going to be more reliant on these coaches. So let me bring up this clip. And like I said, please, guys, just give me a thumbs up. Let me know if it's clear.
Take some of the things to say, and they don't know him the way that we kind of know him.
What I also think could be going on too in terms of him not having like a long Zim is Zim's delegating every position coach to their respective rooms, which he does do, and that's kind of Mike McCarthy's head coaching style in general. Is like, hey, this is going to be your job. I'm not going to overstep. Like, that's your job. This is your job, or whatever. So it seems like Zim has faith in his position coaches enough that's like, hey, these are your guys to work with, right? So, right, it definitely Ellis, which we call.
Yeah, maybe should be watching that.
Right.
All right, that's them. I didn't realize. Okay, so it is choppy. Okay, all right. Let me see. You can hear, but it is choppy. It's okay. All right, let me see if I can refresh it and then see if it plays a little bit better. But I mean, pretty much, I'm gonna go ahead and go to the next clip and then see if it works a little bit better with that one. But pretty much what they were saying is just that, Zimmer is really like I just said, Zimmer is going to be leaning more on these positional coaches, to like he's done in the past, and and he's going to be on the sideline. But he's looking to these positions like a coach Ellis, like a coach Zgonina, to make sure. Yeah, choppy and sped up. Okay, I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate the feedback. I don't know, because I just did I did a test run before I came on here, and it sounded like it was clear, but maybe it's just the connection. But we're going, like I said, we're going to go ahead and move along, and then hopefully it'll get a little bit better. But let me bring up this second clip, and this next clip is actually going to be Coach Greg Ellis. Like I just mentioned, he's coming in this year, and he actually explains just how it is going to be in the off season. With working with Zimmer, and that's not necessarily, like I said, the players are going to be leaned on, but it's going to be there's definitely going to be some kind of responsibility on these coaches.
It's a good time of year that coaches coach coaches, right?
All right, so I'm gonna play this next clip, and just one more time, guys. Let me know if it's still choppy, because I did just really quick. Let me hit the refresh and then see if it works. Okay, so at this moment, like I said, at this point right here, Ellis is going to answer a question that Christy Scales asked about taking this time in the off season where she says, "quote coaches coaching coaches."
Yeah.
Actually, one second, because it might be. Okay, give me 1 minute.
It's not relaxing in our. Yeah, it's
the time of year that coaches coach coaches, right?
Yeah, it's not relaxing in our room, in the coaching room. Who I've been around him long enough to know whatever he's going to do, he's going to hold you to it, and so he's not going to forget it. And that's a good thing about him. That's what makes him a good coach. And I really couldn't think of a better coach for me to be under, to be honest with you, than him, to be honest with you.
Are you going to have to interpret?
Can you guys hear me? I'm sorry, y'all. This is my connection once again acting crazy. Okay, y'all. Give me 1 second. 1 second, please. My it went out again. Eastside here talking about some still no contract for CD. Yeah, you're right about that. Eastside still no contract for CD, Parsons or Dak. But I mean that's not anything new. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you guys for the feedback. Thank you, Kelvin. Thank you, Nisi. My signal went down a little bit. Had to come back. But yeah, like I said, Eastside. We're not. I'll start getting more worried about that. Like when it gets down to, what I mean, when it gets down to maybe the end of training camp, and they still haven't had a contract. I'll definitely start. Yeah, because I'm outside. Yeah, I definitely start getting worried about that. Like just like I said, they get into training camp and closer to week 1, and they haven't had a contract, and I'll definitely start worrying about that. But for right now, I think we're still good. But yeah, so let me see if I can bring this back up for you guys. Just give me 1 sec, y'all. Okay, let me run this clip back one more time for you guys.
Time of year that coaches coaches, right?
Yeah, it's not relaxing in our. He's responsible. I've been around him long enough to know whatever you tell him you're going to do, he's going to hold you to it, and so he's not going to forget it. And that's a good thing about him, though. That's what makes him a good coach. And I really couldn't think of a better coach for me to be under, to be honest with you, than him, to be honest with you.
Are you going to have to interpret some?
Yeah, let me know if it's still choppy, you guys. But yeah, like Ellis said, like it's really like it's not just about the players learning, but at the same time, it's also about the coaches learning. Like even like I mentioned before about Coach Scott McCurley having to learn the defense. You know what I'm saying? Him having experience as a coach, but at the same time, we saw just how well, or maybe not well, how his teaching style relate to the players. Okay, so it's better, Kelvin. Okay. Let me know how you got, if you guys could hear what Ellis was saying in the little snippet right there, and I'll know if I'm able to go forward or not. But yeah, like I said, I think it's a good time. Like I said, not just for these players, but also for these coaches to come in and to better their style of coaching. I'm saying maybe you know instead of them maybe looking at Zimmer as I don't want to say a dictator or someone coming in telling you what to do. Everyone tries to bring up that whole, does he still, does he still yell? Does he still have that demeanor? Does he still have this? Does he still does that? Not saying they're trying to put a bad name, but it just sounds like a lot of people are just trying to find out, if Zimmer still has that fire, and we should look at it in that way. We shouldn't look at it as, Zimmer coming down on players, or Zimmer, being mean. We should look at it as, he's passionate about the game. He does want it done his way, but it's and actually Ellis does mention that further down. Let me see if it's actually in that same clip, because he mentions why that it could be it could be beneficial for these players to actually listen to how his coaching style.
Some of his messages to your guys. To
Oh, I do
listen
it
to
already.
how he says it. This is what he means.
Oh yes, we've had that conversation. uh, yes, and I tell the rookies, players, to be honest with you too, is that understand this football is go, and so don't get caught up into how the message is being delivered, but just understand we are working.
Play the position.
I think it's a huge benefit. You know what I mean? Jeff obviously handles more of, interior guys, and Jeff is the lead one. I'm assistants to him. I say that first and foremost. But I think it's a tremendous blessing, if you would, because we but we also can do little techniques and how to be more productive at executing that deal.
Yeah, and I just went ahead and let the clip, finish playing out, for this particular segment. But yeah, I think he brought up a huge point, like I mentioned about them bringing in former players. If you guys watch Coach Zgonina's interview, he brings that up as well. And of course, the media asks similar questions to many of these coaches, but I think it's interesting that they both brought up the same point. Like they love being former players, turn to coaching at this, and also like Ellis just said, the players are able to get a different level of teaching. Like he said, not just about Zimmer's defense, but they're also able to give these young players just some little tips and tricks that they can that can help improve their game just in general at that particular position. That's why they brought in a former defensive edge in Ellis. Even in Zimmer's Doomsday interview, he mentioned he mentioned just very lightly about Ellis's hand techniques. You know what I'm saying? Him taking at one point taking jujitsu and how that helped them on the field with striking at the line. You know what I'm saying? Getting an advantage on that tackle or on that guard, whoever he's facing. It's just sometimes these off the field things, like we talk about, some people were criticizing Micah Parsons about doing sumo wrestling or not being at the facility, doing different things in the off season. But it just, these guys got to find number one, different ways to train, but also at the same time just making themselves better professionally. And it doesn't hurt to try out different things. Football itself isn't going to make you better at football. You got to try different things to challenge you athletically. To challenge you physically as well. So I just think it's different that these guys are able to do different things off the field, and that it also can impact their on the field play, in a positive way. So, like I said, we're going to go ahead and move on to. Let me see. Yeah, we're going to move on to the first coach. Like I said, Scott McCurley. And just really take a look at some of these linebackers. Let me get me off here for a second. Yeah, just take a look at some of these linebackers who of course, we know who's in the room. We have Eric Kendricks, Damone Clark, Maris Leofau. Really just some of who we think we're going to see the field, more often than not, maybe than some of the other guys in the depth chart. And of course, we have Overshawn coming back from injury. Hopefully, we won't see him too soon, or just too soon. As far as what his injury may tell us, at the beginning of the year. But even McCurley said in one of his interviews that they're looking to get him, kind of ready and prepped, for at the end of this year, starting next year, so that way, and we see that with the moves they made in the offseason, looking to the UFL to bring in, to look at different edges, to bring in guys to help supplement that line, number one, and then also going to get a guy like Willie Harvey. You know what I'm saying? Who, I don't know if he's a former first round pick, but he does have number one NFL experience. He has made big plays. He has had playing time, so it's not like he doesn't have any kind of experience. Also, another guy in the room, Damian Wilson. So just them, and like I said, them bringing in a Kendricks, just bringing in these veteran players who can just translate the defense and teach these younger guys who, like a Mayer, like Damone Clark, and even some of the other guys that they brought in on the UDFA side, like a Jason Johnson, or even Buddy Johnson, who was here last year, who does have time in this, on this team, but not necessarily in Zimmer's defense schematically, but just some guys that can kind of shore up the linebacker spot, just so that Overshawn can take his time coming back. So, as you guys can see here, I just kind of have, instead of just really, I just want to kind of explain just maybe what, I don't know how, I want to kind of explain this for you guys. I don't necessarily have the words to put to it, but I guess to kind of explain it like simply, I just want to take a look at, McCurley's thoughts on the linebacker room, in this offseason. If you guys can follow me for a sec, just take a look at his thoughts. Because I did want to look at, his pre thoughts. I would say, that weekend, when the draft was done, they found, they drafted Maris. Before they brought in the guys from the UFL, but I was gonna take a look at that interview, but I just figured I'll just take a look at the interview that he gave, um, during OTAs, during that week when the rookies were finally getting acquainted with the veterans and whatnot. So, like I said, I want to bring up that interview that he did, and just kind of share with you guys, what I think, or what I think he's trying to explain with his interview. So let me bring this up really quickly. Let's see. Right. And like I said, this is McCurley on, and like I said, we're gonna not play his entire interview, but we're just gonna bounce throughout the interview, just what like I said, like McCurley talking about the progress of Demarion Overshown, what he believes, and that's why I have this kind of listed above these players' head. Like I said, like we have Eric Kendricks, who's bringing in that that leadership type, that mentor type mentality to the team. Losing at LVE was huge for us last year. So bringing in another guy who can lead this team and also kind of teach these guys. Of course, we know Zimmer's defense. When Zimmer is busy doing other things, and of course we have Damone Clark. And for me, we know last year he did struggle. With some playing that position, kind of just being kind of thrown in the mic position. It was tough for him. His first year he did very well, and even before he was even thrown in that position, he wasn't playing spectacular. But we do have to take into account that he was thrown into that position, and not having much time in that position, he had to kind of learn on the fly. You know what I mean? So just he may have made mistakes on the way, on the way, but at the same time, just kind of like an example, right? Say you made it so far in your career, but you want to take the next level up. You know what I'm saying? Or you're just looking for you're looking for a job, and let's say the spot, you're looking at a managerial position. You know what I'm saying? Like a management position, but they want you to have experience, right? But you can't always get management experience. So it's kind of like what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? You want to become a supervisor, but they want you to have experience, but you can't get that experience until you become one, right? So it's kind of like, and this is not saying that Damone Clark should be at the Mike linebacker position. I'm sorry, y'all. Excuse me. But this is just me saying that it was a year for him. You know what I'm saying? It was a year for him to experience what it was like being in that position, and now he's able to take a step back and kind of put what he's learned last year and just kind of dial it back. But at the same time, you guys follow me, just kind of being able to take the good from the bad from what he went through last year, and also to apply to his position. That way he can make better decisions, do a little bit less guesswork, and just have a little bit more discipline. And then of course with Maris Lee, what's going on, JC? What's up, fam? How you doing? Hey, shout out to JC Cowboys Network. I really appreciate you. And just so you guys know, I reached out to him because I'm going to be using just a couple of his clips, later on in my show, talking about the defensive tackles. But shout out to you, JC. I really appreciate your work, fam. You do awesome work, y'all. He's just an out of this world editor, y'all. And he does a great job. You know what I'm saying? We got to link up, man. I think I'm gonna hit you up to see about you joining me and Star's show once we get back up, before training camp. But I really appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. But yeah, like I was saying, like with Maris Leofau, even from the beginning, with McCurley's draft interview, he spoke about, and shout out to Miss Aisha Morrison. She actually brought the question about, what does he see with does he see Maris having Mike linebacker capabilities in the future? And he said absolutely. You know what I mean? He thinks that he can, number one, he's already smart. A lot of people have, talked about just how brilliant he is. But at the same time, he's learning the playbook. He's, getting down and dirty. You know what I'm saying? Getting gritty with it. Trying to get, on these vets. Not say get on their good side, but just he wants to let the team know that he's there for them. He wants to learn as much as possible. But at the same time, we know he's physical. He's fast. he just plays with just a different burner. So it's just, once he is able to marry the physical and the mental, at NFL level, I should say, I think this guy has a very high ceiling. And lastly, with Overshawn, of course, we know he was out, but he plays fast. He's a physical attacker. We saw in the Jags game in preseason last year. Just him having huge stops on. I think it was a third and inches, 3rd and 1. Just being able to get the team off the field. You know what I mean? That's huge. You want guys who can make plays at the line of scrimmage, and who aren't afraid to step up and really really lay hits on someone. So like I said, I'm gonna bring up these clips once again. While they play, let me know if you guys can hear. If they're coming through clearly. And like I said, just gonna touch on just some of the things that McCurley has mentioned about the linebacker room. All right, this first part of the interview, he's gonna. Oh, sorry about that, y'all. In his first clip, he's gonna talk about Overshown's progress, just pretty much in the off season. Dang, y'all, my bad. I'm sitting here playing. Dang, that's my bad. My bad, y'all. 1 second. All right.
We'll take our time with him. I mean, first and foremost, we want him to be healthy and ready to go at the end of next year.
All right, there we go. See, that's what I'm talking about, y'all. It's just running a little bit slow, but thank y'all for bearing with me.
We want him to be healthy and ready to go at the end of next year, all right, whenever that comes, and progress him through. But we're hoping by training camp we can work him in and get him going. He looks great right now. Everything he's doing, running around, I know he's itching to get back out there, and really excited about getting started on the field. But we'll trust the progression of everything and take it through, and he's going to be ready to go for us next year.
And then here he speaks about Kendricks and what he believes he means to the room.
I think overall, even for the younger guys in our room, like Damone, like Demo, Buddy, and those guys, I mean, just his influence on him, his calmness, his poise. He's been in this scheme before. All right, he's another voice as a coach within the room, to the nuance of the position, the little things that sometimes you can't get from a quick 30-minute meeting. He can talk to him about that outside of the room, on the field. So his presence has been great, and getting to know the young guys and bringing him along. He's just a great piece to have in the room. And he's
Time for year 3.
And this is on Damone Clark and what he believes his year 3 can be.
Jeff, what do you think about that?
no question. I think the more football that Damone plays, the better he's going to be. And it was a lot of football we were able to get him into. He took on a lot of roles last year, too. I mean, when you look at where he started out, is Will Dime, and then Leighton goes down, we slide him over to Mike. He was able to play on the line of scrimmage and do a lot of different things as a young player. I mean, so he's gotten experience all over the field. So his confidence right now is up. And he's going to be playing fast, and we're excited for him here in year 3.
Yeah, so I just wanted to go ahead and let McCurley get get all his thoughts out before I actually started to break down each thing he said. But like I said, just giving kind of a pretty much a roundup of what he thought, what he thinks of the main guys that are supposed to be stepping up this year and probably most likely get most of the reps. At the same time, what they plan on doing with Overshown, taking the time with them, like I mentioned earlier, making sure he doesn't come back too fast, making sure they respect the timeline, like as McCarthy has alluded to in the past. So yeah, like you said, loves beauty. I think it's strange. I'm not gonna say it's strange. I think it's maybe encouraging. Like I said, and me and Star I talked about this as well. We really didn't see much from McCurley, in years prior, unless they were doing the coach's availability type interviews. And I think it's a good thing. I think it's good, number one, for him to learn. and he has had linebacker experience playing. I think it's at Penn State. He went to. I know he went to a school in Pennsylvania. Off the top of my head, I don't really know right now, but so he has had experience, and he came in 2020 with Mike McCarthy, and so I think that maybe like I said, he may not have been under the right coach. Maybe being under Dan Quinn, we know, shout out to Law Nation. I listened to a show earlier. He said that you didn't see Dan Quinn, with pretty much with any other group, besides the D line. Like that's where he focused in on. So it's always good to just see that not only the players learning, but the coaches learning as well. Hey, what's up, landlord? How you doing, fam? Hey, very happy to see you. Thank you. Hey, appreciate you joining me. It's been a minute, fam. I got to tap back into you and West Coast and Henny. I do apologize for that. I'll go on live saying that I definitely been lacking being in a lot of content creators chats, but shout out to y'all. I definitely like I said, kind of dipping my feet in this pool. For the second year. You definitely see that it takes a lot, number one to make content, but to watch, to support others, to watch others, and having the job, and doing other things that life throws at you. So and as you guys saw, early in this year, like I know I went through a lot of personal things, but now kind of getting back into the grind. I'm still trying to trying. That's another thing I want to perfect, just kind of being able to balance a lot of things at one time. So shout out to landlord, like you know I just you guys, both of you guys are just all you guys are just an amazing group. Like I said, I just love seeing different creators out there. Like I said, JC Cowboys Network, landlord, Henny. Like you just see so many aspects from different content creators, and it's just, and me and Star talked about this last week on our show. I think like you just get a different feel from each content creator, and you can pick and choose what you're in the mood for at that particular moment. But when you put everybody together, you just look at everybody, their main goal. The main goal is to just get our team to 6. And when you put out opinions, when you put out facts, at times it can change the trajectory of where this team can go. So just shout out to all the content creators doing their thing and putting in that work, putting in that time. And like I said, landlord, you're definitely an inspiration. Henny's an inspiration as well. I was watching them when they went, from not being monetized to being monetized. So it's just, I know it's possible. That's why I'm on this journey, trying to put in all the work I can, because I saw you guys do it, and it really is inspiring. So I appreciate y'all joining in. And thank you, JC. I appreciate that. Thank y'all. I appreciate you. But yeah, like I was saying, like I said, just a little bit last of McCarthy, of McCurley before we move on. Yeah, I think he even stated in the off season, and he stated even here in this interview, if you guys go and listen to the whole thing, that he's really, number one, excited about having number one, guys in the room, bodies in the room. But at the same time, these guys, these players are great. Like I said, we see a Willie Harpy who has NFL experience, Damian Wilson, Eric Kendricks. Like we may have some UDFAs, we have guys that we drafted, Maris Leofau, but we also have some vets in the room now. Linebacker room was definitely a room that's been lacking that vet leadership, outside of LBE for a long time. So it's just, we really needed that, but also at the same time, I think this team is really going to be bolstered by that. Like we've seen just the changes a veteran can make in the room, to the wide receivers with the Brandon Cooks, to D-Law. He's been here for years, and we just, we see edges coming here, and, they can have a dominant game because you have teams focusing on D-Law or a Micah Parsons, you know what I mean? So it's also at the same time, you're allowing other players, we have these vet linebackers coming in. So now that's also going to give the younger players a chance to grow, a chance to bloom, if you will, because they're going to be, number one, learning their tips and tricks, and then kind of learning what they're good at the same time. And then I just think it's just going to be a good elevation for the team in general. All right, let me move on. Let me see if I got, and forgive me y'all for looking at my phone. I'm trying to, okay, actually, yeah, I want to bring up this clip that Zimmer was talking about. We talked about earlier about Kendricks coming in and making a change for this team. I think this point that Zimmer brought up is huge, because he mentions that it would just be different.
Get them, if you see things and you get them to do that.
Hey, my bad. But yeah, he just flat out admits that it would just be different if he didn't have a guy like Kendricks here, in his corner, helping them to relay this defense. So let me play this clip right quick.
It doesn't go good.
How important is Kendricks being here?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to play this clip, and then I'm going to play another clip from Zimmer's interview on the Doomsday podcast, and how he talks about how he could possibly use Marist and Micah Parsons.
Yeah, we're just talking about that today. Like the walkthrough today, I gave him a bunch of hard things, and he's quick and he's said it before, done it before, and so we're just talking about that today a little while ago. How much, you know, here, how much different having go. Really, so hope they can keep going that way and help the guys around him.
Yeah, so I think that just like I said, just for Zimmer himself to admit that it would just be different, if he wasn't here. Like having a guy like Kendricks, number one, like I said, a veteran first of all, and then someone who's just so familiar. Like you said, he was an All Pro player from him, in the past. So having someone play at that level to be able to come into this room, into a room that we were, seriously lacking in last year, the past few years. Like I said, I think this defense can somehow, some way turn itself on its head. Like I said, okay, let me play this clip from his doomsday interview.
What did you like about Marist? We got to talk to him a little bit today. What stood out about him? Because I'm sure he fits kind of what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, number one, he's brilliant. He catches on really quick. Almost, he wants to be so good and so intense that I think he wants to be. He almost is like too much at it right now. But it's the first day. So, but the other thing is. I think he's a really good pressure player, and I think having that with Parsons and another pressure player that is a I think he's to fusion more for the offense. Plus, he's a pretty good.
Yeah, and that's great, and it's not just a Maris that can create that. You also have DeMarvion Overshawn once he comes back, being healthy and things like that. Just having two players who can just create that, just create that havoc. Honestly, like we need that. It's just for me. I'm not gonna say Micah Parsons isn't enough because he's we know what kind of player he is. You know what I mean? Let me see. Oh, sorry about that, guys. I thought my shit was tripping. Hold up. Okay, it's straight now. Let me know if it's straight, guys. Let me know if it's straight. But I'm gonna go ahead and keep going. But like he was saying, it's not just about. For me, it's about having more than a Micah Parsons. It's about elevating the other guys on this team. Like we saw earlier in the year last season, Dorrance Armstrong getting 8 sacks. You know what I mean? Like seeing other guys being able to dominate. Dante Fowler making, although he didn't get as many snaps as maybe I wanted him to get, because I definitely love seeing Fowler out there on the field. But we saw when he did make a play, it was a big play. It was it had a big impact at that moment. So when you even, we seen, Micah Parsons, kind of just being held down at that right defensive edge spot, or, on the left side. But it says something to the effect when you kind of get some of the other players involved. Like even, if you guys go back and watch the interview, Zimmer mentions that, if the offense decides to move, protections to Micah's side, you got to have, let the other guys know on the line, like, hey, if you're going to have one-on-one on the other side, you got to be able to be successful at your job, because yeah, they may be holding down Micah Parsons. You don't want the whole defense to shut down because you're shutting down your star player. You want the other guys to eat. You want a Marshawn Kneeland to eat. And D-Law continues to eat. He's a great run stopper. We know that, but so that way you can have a Sam Williams to eat. I'm saying? Maybe even a Junior Prohoko. If we're able to see him this year. So if you just get more of these other players involved, I'm saying, making these big time plays, I think, alongside with having, Micah Parsons, I think that could be huge, because I think you'll just start to see more of an upswing of this defense, and just more of what these guys can offer, and just like he mentions in his interview, more chaos, more havoc, in that backfield. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next group. And that, yeah, actually, before I move on, just to kind of kind of end on the point of the linebackers, I think it's going to be important for McCurley. And I don't know if I don't even mention this, but I mentioned Paul Gunther earlier. But, I think it's going to be interesting to see who they maybe put more pressure on, McCurley or Gunther, because like I mentioned, with Gunther coming in as his first year, his first time with his team. And, I think maybe they may give him a little bit more leeway, what I'm saying? Not saying that McCurley should be fired or, anything, extreme like that. I'm just saying that I think, if they're able to create, kind of create that linebacker culture again, kind of just nurture some of these players' strengths, like, bringing in Overshawn, what I'm saying, maybe on like I said, a third of inches, maybe 3rd and 1 to make it, kind of step up to the line to, just kind of make a big stop, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, if these guys kind of just gets just a little bit more smarter at their positions, you know what I mean? I think it could translate well for this team. So let me go ahead and see. I think the next topic is running backs. Let me get this. Yeah, it is. Okay, all right, bet. Let me see. All right, so of course we know, we have pretty much a whole stable of running backs. A picture, a credit to Nick Harris, DallasCowboys.com. We pretty much see all eight running backs here when they were at LTAs, and I think with this room, like I mentioned earlier in the show, with Jeff Blasko / Brian Schottenheimer, I think it's going to be important for them to, once again play to these players' strengths. What I'm saying, getting guys like a Deuce Vaughn involved, getting him in space. I think it's going to be huge just for number one to carve out a role for him. We have, maybe a trick guy like Turpin that we can use every now and then at the backfield, but I'd rather kind of reserve maybe some of the wide receiver type, quote unquote trick plays for a Turpin. You know what I mean? And then, if instead of having Turpin come out the backfield, why not just, find ways to get Deuce to come out the backfield, because we saw them use him last year. It seemed like they would always catch him in the backfield. Like he, couldn't really, get off right, or the play just seemed busted up from the beginning. So I just think that it's going to be important for him. And not just him, if they were to get a Nathaniel Pete involved, I'm not sure just, how far up or maybe how low on the depth chart he is, but, just how willing they're willing to, draw a place for him. I think they're going to, just in my opinion, I talked about it before on my running back show, weeks ago, but make sure you guys go back and watch that. But I think, the main guys that'll be here, of course, is Zeke, Rico, and Hunter, and of course Deuce Vaughn. I think they have more, just like I said, more of a leg up than the other guys in the room, and maybe another guy for practice squad's sake, just to kind of shore up that room. Knock on wood, in case of any injury. But I think it's going to be important for them to find out, what these guys, number one, what they can attribute and what they can bring to this room. And even I'll bring up this clip from Jeff Blasko. He talks about how the play calling could really change from week to week. It's not necessarily about having, like Schottenheimer mentions, it's not necessarily about having, trying to find that number one guy. It's about using who we have. We have a handful of guys this year, as opposed to having that 1-2 punch we had, in years prior. Now this year we have a stable of guys, and like you said, it could depend on the week, could depend on the matchup. It could, go as far as depending on the situation that you're in, and as far as the running back that you want to use. But like I said, let me bring up this clip. This is where he mentions. Let's see.
And he's well loved and respected around here.
What does running back by committee look like for you? Like for the team?
All right, there we go. And let me know if you guys can hear it, whether it's choppy. Just do me a favor, just give me a thumbs up in the chat. And I appreciate y'all.
How do you kind of define running back?
Yeah, I think it may change weekly, to be perfectly honest with you. It might be a situation where a guy's playing 40%, 20%. If it's three guys in the stable, it's interesting. I just did a study. I looked from the year 2000 to 2014. The NFL averaged 17,000-yard rushers a year, 17, and since then it's been 11. So it's gradually gone down. It's become more of a type league, even with adding the 17th game there in 2021. So I think everybody's kind of heading in that direction.
Yeah, it looked like it's still choppy, so I'm just going to go ahead. He's pretty much saying that from I think he said from 2000 to 2014, it's the 1,000 yard rushers in the league have gone down from have gone down substantially. You know what I mean? And we even see we even saw as early as last year. The running back room really just kind of being judged differently as far as financially. A lot of these guys are struggling to get deals, but we just saw the quick turnaround from this offseason. Saquon Barkley, Aaron Jones. The guy from the Raiders, Josh Jacobs, getting big money, getting decent money, depending on as opposed to as what it was last year. So just seeing, just in my opinion, just the respect for the running back room kind of go back up again, because we see just how much they do have to take, just how much you do have to put on, or how much pressure was on a running back to solely carry their team. And now, like Jeff Blasko mentions it, Brian Schottenheimer mentions it, Mike McCarthy even mentions it in a couple of his pressers, that it's kind of the way the league is going, is that you can't just put it in, even like you said, even adding the extra game in the East in the regular season, and now they're still talking about potentially adding another regular season game. So you can't, and then you have the playoffs. So it's just like you have 20 to 21 to 22 games that you're trying to depend on one person to carry the team on their shoulders, essentially. Like they mentioned, and even us having that 1-2 punch over the years, Tony Pollard and Zeke Elliott, that was like, we see other teams doing it. We saw, let me see, we saw, actually, instead of the 1-2 punch, we see teams maybe like the Ravens, who don't always have that top. Of course, this year we know they got Derrick Henry, but just in previous years they kind of had like a stable of running backs. They do have I forget the guy's name who's been on the Ravens for a while, but he just keeps getting hurt. Unfortunately, I can't think of his name right now. Forgive me, but he got hurt, I think, in the first game last season. So they've always had kind of just had like a stable of running backs that they've had. They even brought in, they even brought in the Dalvin Cook as late as last season. So just seeing a team like the Ravens, they don't necessarily, and they made it to the playoffs. Even without a top wide receiver, they have always had, number one, I would say, some type of run game, maybe not a strong run game, but even with the stable of running back that they've had, they've somehow tried to make a way, throughout the year. So, and you even see them trying to build that up as well, going to get a guy like Derrick Henry, who can finish those plays at the goal line. And that's what we were looking for last year too, right? Just looking a way to finish those long drives going down the field. And then you end up getting stuff, even, they even would it, go to as far as using Lamar Jackson at the goal line. So it's just, of course, it's every team's preference, but one thing you want to make sure that you can do within the 10-yard line is to make sure that you can run the ball in. So as far as the Cowboys going more towards that running back by committee, type thing, I think it's just going to be. Yeah, that's exactly what I just said too. Nisi, right? Make sure you count the Ravens, right? Exactly, and the Ravens use a lot of Lamar Jackson, and they kind of seem to kind of dial it back, last season with them trying to throw more than run. But we know what it came down to it in those moments he was trying to run, and sometimes it wasn't successful. We even saw him kind of, I think, fumble maybe one or two times in very important games when he was trying to make those runs. So it's just, it's kind of like a pro and con. You know what I mean? Yeah, you want to improve the run game, but you also want to limit the mistakes. You know what I'm saying, and not put yourself in the situations where you can't run the ball when you absolutely have to, or when the opposing team knows you're going to run. You still got to be successful running the ball, and that's something that we have to, especially at the last year. In my opinion, in the first half, maybe first half of the year, not utilizing Tony Pollard in the correct way, but even in the second half of the season, getting Blasko back, Tony kind of getting his rhythm as well, but we just never seem to be able to scheme up a great running game. And hopefully this year things will change and we'll see it in just a better use. Let me bring up. Let me go ahead and move on to the next. And I think this is the defensive tackle / defensive edges. Actually, technically, it's Coach Zgonina and Coach Greg Ellis, and I kind of just decided to put them both up here together. Number one, because they're coming in together. They're both working alongside Zim, and have worked alongside Zim before in other years. So, like I said, like in the beginning of the show, the familiarity with working with, coaches that you worked with before, working with players, or seeing the type of player that you have with the defense, and just seeing what you can mold out of these guys. Let me see. Actually, let me get me off here so I can just read off what's here. But yeah, what I think these guys, these coaches are, as far as what they need to, they want to. I think these players. Okay, let me take it back. I think these coaches, excuse me, need to take a look at these players that they have, because they are limited. I think I think it's obvious that this room has the most questions going into this 2024 season. So I think, not saying I no, I'm not even I think I know that we need a revamp of this run defense. You know what I'm saying? And that's really been the talk of the whole offseason, right? Making sure they can stop the run. You know what I'm saying? We've seen previous years where they've had crazy trouble. You know what I'm saying? It's just, as we know, just last year with the Bills game, we got to run up on us. And it's an example that Zimmer always brings up. Back when he had he was at the pickle game, against the Eagles or something like that, and they gave up over 200 plus yards rushing. So his focus has always been trying to stop the run, right? So, we unfortunately, instead of looking at the defensive tackle position as of yet, the Cowboys have looked at defensive edges from, the UFL. They, tried out, different guys. They even brought in, did they? I'm not sure. I don't think they brought in any defensive edges. I got to look that up. I'm not entirely sure, but we know they drafted Kneeland. We know last year they had, they had a Fahoko, you know what I'm saying, and other guys that they have used at the three tech position, like Chauncey Golson, you know what I'm saying, and we even see that again. I don't know if you guys caught the Doomsday podcast interview with Marshawn Kneeland, but he even mentioned that in his interview about, them expecting him, to be able to move to the inside, whether or not he has experience, blitzing from the inside. And he says no, not yet. Make sure you guys go and check out that interview, but you know, they told him that, pretty much from the beginning. They told Fahoko that, you guys heard Sharif Floyd mentioning that, looking at some of Fahoko's film. So it's just looking like these guys are looking at some of these edges to kind of move inside to help, kind of help at the defensive tackle position. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we're still looking at us getting a defensive tackle towards, the beginning of training camp. So that way he, has time to gel with the team. But we'll see if they actually make a move there. But I just want to bring up a few clips, because, like I said, I want to share this footage from JC Cowboys Network. Shout out to him, and, like I said, his amazing work, because some of these things, like I said, it was a challenge for me to be able to get to know some of these players better, and, like I said, get to know things that I didn't know, particularly about him. So let me see if I can bring up this information just quickly. If you guys still here with me listening, I appreciate y'all. I know it's a lengthy show. I'm trying to get through as quickly as possible. But if you are still listening, hit the like, hit the retweet, hit the share button for me. I appreciate y'all. I really do. But okay, so I'm gonna bring up this really quick video. I think it's a huge point. Number one, for our undrafted a guy we brought in through the undrafted free agency, Denzel Jackson. And I heard this before about him being eligible under the international player rule. So let me just play this quick. Let me play this clip. Okay, let me wait for it to come up. It's still low, and bear with me, y'all. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right, let me know if you guys can hear. Just give me a thumbs up in the chat if you will, please. I appreciate it. I'm just gonna let this clip play. Just a little bit of Denzel Jackson's background.
Where he got opportunities at the low tackle position. He had 27 tackles, more than doubling his.
Let me go back a little bit.
Committing to Ohio, he did well in his sophomore year, but in his junior year, he didn't see much playing time, so he decided to enter the transfer portal. He eventually signed with Illinois, where he got opportunities at the nose tackle position. He had 27 tackles, more than doubling his career output in a single season with the team. Being born out of state.
Is it loading? It's still loading, y'all. Bear with me 1 second.
With the new international rule, he will not get the team's 90-man roster and can be added to the count against be added to the practice squad as an extra member. Will McClay is excited about this addition, saying that this is a big advantage for the Dallas Cowboys as well as for Daxon, who gets an extra spot on the practice squad with an open door to develop. With questions about our defensive tackle position, this could be a great opportunity for him, Cowboys Nation.
Yeah, and after I heard that, I wholeheartedly agree with the JC Cowboys Network. Like I said, shout out to you for that awesome film work, and shout out to you for that great. All right, thank you, Nisi. Appreciate that. But yeah, that was a huge point he just made right there. That since he grew up out, or since he was born, of course, and grew up outside the United States, he counts towards that international players rule where you kind of get an extra roster spot. Like he said, number one for him to develop, but also just in my opinion, like I think. I mean, we've heard through the offseason that they said they're going to take a look at another defensive tackle that potentially bring in here, but also gives you, room for, hopefully, fingers crossed, another potential defensive tackle. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you can look for two in free agency as opposed to looking for one. I know we're going to have other roster spots to try to fill and then have our own roster cuts to try to make, but we can kind of get like a 2-for-1 type deal. I mean, I know we picked up Daxon. I know we drafted Justin Rogers. So we, have two guys who were putting our hope in, right? Who seem to have great potentials just so far. But, if we could just get one more, like I said, it's, like they said, I mean, like JC just said, and like the rule, kind of alludes to, it's kind of like a free spot, you know what I mean? So you can kind of get like a, even a 3-for-1 deal, you know what I'm saying? Maybe go out there and see, during roster cuts. Of course, it's not going to be guys who are, top of the roster type guys, but if you could just look for, like I said, just need another, another big body to kind of bolster that room, and maybe hopefully a guy, fingers crossed, who has some kind of veteran experience to kind of come in and help. Like we talked about having a veteran in that room, we saw just how well it was having a Hankins in that room. You know what I mean? I think it was just, like I said, that veteran leadership, just that veteran mentality can bring something to these young guys. We do have a Carl Davis, what I'm saying? No slight against him. We know he's a journeyman. Excuse me, I'm sorry. He's had time in the league, but how much time did he really get? How much time did he really get on the field last year? You know what I mean? Or last season? Yeah, last year. So hopefully he's learning more. But you definitely want to pick up a guy who's going to have more impact. You know what I mean? Yeah, JC. Yeah, I think it's a huge advantage. Like I love that. I just love the fact that, and especially at that position, it's one thing if. A couple years ago where we had Alarcon on the offensive line, and he, I think he had great potential. We didn't get to see that much from him, unfortunately, and they even tried throwing him on the defensive side, and it just, just didn't work out the way we wanted. But I think like I said, at that particular position, we could use, a free spot, with that position, and hopefully go out and get another one. I mean, hopefully we're gonna go out and get another defensive tackle just in general anyway, but. Just having that advantage of having that extra spot because we have, a guy in that position who gives us that free spot. I just want to share one more clip from, let me see if I can bring this up right quick. 1 second, y'all. Because please forgive me, I forgot to actually bookmark this second clip. So let me find it right quick. It's actually the second clip from JC Cowboys Network. And just a little bit, like I said, just a quick look at Denzel Daxon, just kind of playing on the line, and just something I kind of mentioned with the linebackers, right? About shedding tackles, you know what I'm saying? Just being able to kind of shift your attention, shift your hips from from the first level to the next level, right? We want to see these guys just being able to. Well, like I said, in our previous, but I was talking about Damone Clark and last year Marquise Bell, but talking about the linebackers specifically, about them, Clark specifically getting off blocks, getting off tackles, because taking on tackles and guards last year just did them really, really did them no good. And I mean, you know about Marquise Bell's size, but talking about Damone Clark in general, it just seemed like he just did a lot of guesswork. So I just want to look at this particular clip right here, just as an example of being able to get off a block. And let me see if I can bring this up quickly.
Into the running back. And you love to see these kind of plays, Cowboys Nation.
Oh, okay, let me see. Yeah, just a few seconds. I can play this just very quickly. All right, let me know if you guys can hear.
It's how you can be able to earn more playing time on the field. So we're going to run it. So zooming in on Daxon, you see that center and guard are trying to double team him, but looking at his hand extending and completely removing that center. And I love to see the physicality when it comes down to a guy like Daxon, removing this guy out to play, going up against that guard, disengaging and getting to the run back. And you love to see these kind of plays, Cowboys Nation. And defensive tackle time on the field. So zooming in on Daxon, you see that center and guard are trying to double team him, but looking at his hand extending and completely removing that center. And I love to see the physicality when it comes down to a guy like Daxon, removing this guy out to play, going up against that guard, disengaging and getting to the running back. And you love to see these kind of plays, Cowboys Nation.
Yeah, exactly, JC. And I think, like I said, that was a great video. I think that was an excellent point, because we could even look at Hankins from last year, him trying to get him off blocks, or just trying to get him to the next level, just being able to stop, help stop the run. I think that's just something that's been kind of like an Achilles heel for some of these guys on the defense, just being able to use their strength. And that's why it's good to see that Demarion Overshown got in the weight room. He's kind of putting on a little bit of mass. Damone Clark as well, getting his confidence up, and we see, of course, these young guys are getting in the weight room as well. So I think that, I just think hopefully they can learn, not just at the linebacker position, but those front four as well. Can learn to be able to get off blocks. Just kind of spend less time, playing hands with the guy in front of you and going after the running back. That's going to be huge this year. We talked about this countless times. Just being able to stop the run is going to be huge this year. All right, so next I'm going to bring up is Coach Zgonina. And actually, not to kind of overflood you guys, because I want to get to this last one before I'm over here too long. Actually, that actually might be okay. I got you. Yeah, bring up Coach Zgonina, and just he kind of quickly touched on, his I wouldn't say his whole goals, but what he talked about, what he wants to do with this room and what he wants to teach them. And he, even in this interview, he mentions that it's not about being better, than Dan Quinn's defense. It's just different.
Forget maybe McCurley, you mentioned this, where difference from last year to this.
Dang, my bad. Okay, yeah, it's about being different from Dan Quinn's defense, and about kind of getting these guys back to basics. They talk a lot about doing what Fehoko did in college. Going back to what Mozzie did in college. It's really about them, getting back to basics, and what these guys, like I said, coming down to these guys' level, getting them back to what they're used to, but also improving their mental prowess, and that way they're able to learn new things and pick them up quickly, because as we know, training camp is coming up in a few weeks. Hey, what's up, Darren Posey? How you doing, fam? Good to see you in the building. Hope you're doing well. Let me bring this what did I want to okay, here we go. Yeah, he just talks about how he's going to use Mozzie, and even he kind of touches on Kneeland as well, how they want to use some of these defensive edges at 3 Tech. Let me see.
All
right, let me know
he's got a
good here.
Motor. He loves football.
That size and athleticism will give him a lot of versatility, being able to move inside, moving out.
Yeah, that's what we looked at, throughout the whole process. You like to have ends that can play inside, especially on sub downs, and then vice versa. It could be a play outside on rundowns.
What's it been like working with Zimmer and just his personality and things like that?
Well, he's from Chicago like me, so we get along. He's Irish, I'm Polish. We get along.
Will it give him a lot of...
Let me play that one more time.
So like I said, his learning curve is going to be jumping more and more, every time he goes out there, but he's got a great motor. He loves football.
That size and athleticism, will it give him a lot of versatility, being able to move him inside, moving out for you?
Yeah, that's what we looked at, throughout the whole process. You like to have ends that can play inside, especially on sub downs, and then vice versa. It could be a play outside on rundowns.
And I think that right there is key as well. These defensive edges playing outside on rundowns. And for these linebackers especially, it's going to be very important for them to be able to keep contained. In the beginning of the season, because we know the teams that we play, but especially down the going down late in the season. What I'm saying, you're going to have to be able. You're going to be teams are going to be running the ball more, right? So it's going to be an important time for that first level and also that second level with the linebackers, just being able to keep contained with these, these running backs train, they train so that way they I'm sorry, y'all, excuse me, but they train so that way they can break tackles, right? We talk about, even on our side, we talk about Jake Ferguson and CeeDee Lamb being yak guys, right? These guys train for this. They're trying to break these tackles. They're trying to get past the first and second level. So, what do defenses have to do? They have to train, to stop these running backs, who do try to do double moves and things like that. So these guys have to, like I said, like in my opinion, I think they have to get their weight up and just kind of get their footwork together as well too. That's going to be huge too. Shifting your hips, to the in the right direction. So that way you don't get got. I was gonna bring up some film from the Bills game last year, but I'll save that for another show. But just looking at just some examples of how Clark misguessing in the backfield, just being a few inches, a few feet away from the running back, but because you don't shift your hips in time, or you have some sort of misdirection, you miss the play and the running back is going right by you. And next thing you know, he gains 3 to 4 yards. He could be halfway to a first down, or he could convert a first down because of guesswork. So that's one thing that we want to see lessen. Excuse me, y'all. One thing we want to see lessen throughout the year. Yeah, and I wholeheartedly agree with you, Darren Posey. Yeah, this definitely going to be a fundamental year. This, like, if you guys listen and just just pay attention to some of these interviews going on, you hear a lot of hey, I'm learning this, or Zimmer is teaching this. You know what I mean? Or we're getting to the basics. Just like you said, it's definitely going to be, they're going to hopefully be more fundamentally sound this season, because it's like you said, it's more about being on the same page as a team, as opposed to individual guys coming, as opposed to individual success. You know what I mean? So I think that it's going to be huge for these guys. Number one, to build these guys' confidence up. Number one, I mean, we see just how thin the room is. You know what I'm saying? If you will, we have two main guys we're putting our trust in. We have a Carl Davis, and just some other guys that I forget right now off the top of my head. Some other guys, if they have brought in any other guys, but the room is very thin. So they're gonna get these guys' confidence up, and at the same time, Mozzie, he's of course he's returning, but him coming back from his shoulder deal, that's going to be, we mentioned the same thing with Schoonmaker. Unfortunately, with more missed time, you don't necessarily, you can get mental reps all day, but if you can't get caught up to he already has game reps, but you still need those physical reps to be able to improve your game. So it's just going to be, like I said, interesting to see just how well they're able to teach these two rooms, respectively, Ellis and Coach Zgonina, because I think, it's going to, I think, of course, we know the front seven is the most important part of the defense. It begins in the trenches. I'm saying, so with this position being with this position being light, it's definitely gonna be important how these. I think if anything, these are the most important room that's going to be looked at. And then of course, finally we have this. Like I said, in my just strictly my opinion, but the final room I think needs to be under some watches. The O line. Mike Solari, we know he's been here the last couple years, or last year was his first year. And of course, we know they picked up 3 offensive linemen in the draft. We know about BB Guyton, Nathan Thomas, that they that they expect to have. Hopefully, have some sort of start this year, if not at the beginning of the season, somewhere down the line. And for me, I think Solari has to, I guess, prove, because he did decent with the line last year. We have a lot of guys, like a lot of guys returning, a lot of the same faces coming back, and hopefully it'll be a better, a better transition for these guys. I'm saying TJ Bass, Brock Hoffman, um, Awesome Richards. You know what I mean? We have guys who have been here, who have at least 1 year under their belt. You know what I'm saying? And of course we have the vets, returning, Zach Martin, Terrence Steele. Hopefully he can get back to form. We saw him kind of get, his rhythm back, a little late in the season last year. We saw him kind of show out a little bit in the Panthers game and just kind of, grow a little bit from there. So hopefully he can, be back to his regular form, that he was pre-injury. You know what I mean? So just a lot. I don't want to say a lot of questions surrounding the old line, but just some things we want to take a look at going into camp. We know we have the Cooper Beebe, Brock Hoffman, TJ Bass that they threw in at the center position as far as competition. So that's going to be interesting to look at. But I think the thing we're going to be looking at as Cowboy Nation is whether they can get these two guys to transition to their positions respectively, right? Of course, getting Guyton, in game form, we know he's going to be facing, Myles Garrett week 1 against the Browns. So it's going to be important, for him to be able to get his confidence up. And we know weeks to come, he's going to be facing guys every week. So, it's about, but at the same time, let me bring up this clip. Let me see. Because Solari actually mentions something very important about what these guys have to learn, and I think it was a great point. Let me see if I can bring the clip real quick. Okay, let me share my screen. Bear with me 1 minute, y'all. It's actually gonna be the last. Yeah, it's the last. It wasn't the last slide, y'all. So we just about done. I appreciate everybody hanging in there with me. I know it's been a lengthy show. I know my series. The show's kind of long. Like I said, I appreciate y'all. Hanging in there with me. So yeah, Solari here is just going to talk about what it's like for these rookies to come in and learn. Of course it's a new environment, but what it's like, what the coaches are throwing at them. How it is for for the rookies to adjust. Coming into the league. So let me see if I can bring this up. All right, here we go.
There'll be no problem with him making that adjustment. So it's exciting. Absolutely, obviously, you want to take extra time, and Chin, the assistant offensive line coach, does a great job giving them extra time. Individual attention does a great job, and it's just a matter. You want to give them the volume, but again, you want to break it down for them, and again, that constant feedback, and just be a great communicator, and make sure again that they're learning it properly, and that they understand, and they can put it in buckets where they can learn it better. And again, the key thing is the room's an outstanding room with the leadership that has been built in there over the years. So again, it's exciting to get the rookies because again, now they've reached their dream, right? Their opportunity. But again, now it's a matter of them transitioning, understanding that work ethic and how hard it is. I mean, obviously your preparation is so important, and they're not used to. They're learning, and they are. But in the sense of when you leave the facility, you got to take it home, and you got to be a pro. You got to study it and prepare all the time, 24/7.
Yeah, and I think actually those were 2 points, but yeah, I think Darren Posey said this is fire. Hey, appreciate you. Thank you, Darren. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm hoping I'm trying to bring y'all good content, trying to prove my points, and I appreciate it. You're just trying to prove my points, get my point across with these clips. But yeah, like I think those are 2 major points that he brings up. Number 1 about the rookies coming in and throwing a lot at them, like Zimmer mentioned, like McCarthy mentioned, and just seeing, pretty much, seeing what sticks, what guys can learn the best, what guys can, take what they learn and execute it on the field. But also at the same time, like he says, it's about work ethic. About coming in, number one, willing to work at this and showing the coaches, earning the coaches' trust, just making sure that, you're always putting your best foot forward, not just on the field, but off the field, in the classroom environment. That's what they're looking for. Even Solari mentioned in another interview that, they teach the guys how to take notes, and then at the end of the practice, before they left for the break, they take a look at these notes and make sure that they know how to take notes, and that what they're taking down is the most important thing that they need to be taking from what they're learning, and then seeing, like he mentioned, this 5-6 week period they had before going into training camp. It's about what you take home and what you actually continue to work on outside of the building, outside of pressure from the coaches to up your game. It's about what you're willing to do on your own time. I think those are both great points, and I want to bring up just one more clip on this about them drafting these three offensive linemen and what they. This is actually. Let me see if I can. You know what? I didn't say that one either. Dang, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm off. Let me see if I can bring this up just really quickly for y'all. I don't want to waste too much of y'all time. Okay. Here, yeah. The first. Is this it? Let me see. First interview. Okay. Okay, let me see if I can. Yeah, there it is. All right, here we go, y'all. Yeah, I just want to bring up this point because shout out to everybody that was in this room. Miss Aisha Morrison. Let me bring this up.
Allow you to grab.
Yeah, Miss Aisha Morrison, Mr. Brian Baldus, Zach Woolchuck, I believe that's his name, and Bobby Bell. And this is right after they drafted Justin Rogers, and they kind of mentioned as yeah, they didn't really go get a running back, but they kind of mentioned them getting these players on the offensive line could kind of help, with the situation that running the ball. So let's check out what they say.
But three offensive linemen who I think the strength for all three is their nasty, aggressive nature in the run game. I know we went back and forth about this earlier, Aisha, but I think we've seen in the NFL, if you can block and you can win up front along the offensive line, you can find production at the running back position in a lot of different areas. Is it going to be, oh my gosh, we've got a Pro Bowl All-Pro? No. But you just need to be able to have a plethora of guys that can tote the rock. And I think they did a good job, even though they didn't get a runner, and they'll still be in search of that. At least the offensive line, I think we feel much better about after this weekend.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm more so looking at is this season. Obviously you've gone out and drafted the guys that you want attitude wise and stuff like that to set the tone. But I'm really curious to see how Mar decides to do some of the run game and how some of these designs look and some of the things he chooses to do, how he's able to get some of these guys involved. Because to your point, if you are going to go that route that you're saying with the Rico Daddles and, all these other gentlemen, like if you are going to go that route, then you have to find packages and find ways to get, each of them involved and let them do some of the things they do best. So I'm excited to see what this run game looks like a year, because I think we kind of forget that last year was the first year of this new install of a whole new offense. Maybe we get a little bit more refining and creativity in the run game this year with it having to be kind of vast with multiple people and the way you were describing, Zach.
Yeah, and huge points, brought up. Hey, what's up, JBB boy? How you doing, hon? Happy to see you. What's good? Thank you for joining me. I'm just talking, like I said, this is another installment of my show, just talking about the 4 positional coaches who I think should be under watch this year. And just like Miss Aisha Morrison just said, and Mr. Zach Wilchuk, like they just mentioned, like it's or actually, let me see. I want to get it right. Oh goodness gracious! I'm sorry, y'all. 1 second. Yeah, Mr. Jack Bulchuk. Yeah, he's the one who asked the question. I just want to make sure I had it right. But yeah, yeah, like they just pose great questions. Like if you really just get if you get this offensive line, together. I mean, McCarthy has constantly mentioned that they never really had their starting five until, what, halfway through the season, like the first few games, even up to the bye week. It just seemed like the first few games they couldn't, they didn't have the rhythm together. You know what I'm saying? They barely spent any time. Oh, word! Hey, I appreciate you. Thanks, JV. I appreciate you. I really do. Thanks for tuning in, fam. I really appreciate it, and everybody else that's in here too. I really do thank y'all. But yeah, like I said, it's just if these guys are able, like you say, and that's kind of another kind of theme we see with the guys they drafted. They all play with a lot, a lot of violence, or just are willing to even with Cooper Beebe, they say he's willing to come out here and dirt players. Like, hey, if you're in a way, you better move. You feel me? Like even with Terrence Steele, we saw him in the Chargers game, a couple of years back when he was first, starting to get into his element, just running guys over. Just last year we seen Brock Hoffman finishing off plays. That's another thing. Finishing plays. Actually, if you guys gonna hang with me just for a little bit longer, I actually will bring up that the Bills game just to bring up a few points. Just give a few examples of guys having to get off blocks, and I actually just want to really just show one play. I'll just show you guys a couple plays, but I'll show you one play of J. Lou, Jordan Lewis, just being a great example. Number one, in showing patience, and number two, stopping the run. He was able to actually stop, I think, the running back from converting on the first down. So actually, I'll go ahead and bring that up, while I'm kind of finishing up the show. But yeah, like I said, I think, and like they just kind of corroborated, this them bringing in three nasty guys: Nathan Thomas, a Cooper Beebe, Tyler Guyton. He's going to be just tall as hell on that side with Tyler Smith. So, but also at the same time, I think it's a good thing that they're kind of taking their time a little bit. And we heard about OTAs about them. About Tyler Guyton with Cooper Beebe, playing with the second team, as opposed to, right away getting snaps with the first team. They kind of had to earn it, like we mentioned earlier about these players earning the coach's trust. Yeah, like we talk about, they're, shiny new toys, quote unquote, with the 2024 draft, but these guys have to earn it. We talk about Brock Hoffman still being in the mix. Even TJ Bass still being in the mix for that center position. These guys have been here. They were earning it last year. You can't just overlook them. I mean, even Solari mentioned that in that interview. If you guys go back and watch it, Hoffman is nowhere near being overlooked. All these guys are getting an opportunity. Like he even says, the stars are like a Bass, like a Hoffman. These guys are battling for starting positions, but these other guys, they're battling for just a role on this team. So yeah, if you do have an unfortunate incident go down, you can bring in another guy. That's why they said it's a definite plus when these guys can play more than one position. So it's going to be even for the guys we consider role players. It's going to be important for them to to be for them to put their best foot forward as well, because we're going to need all hands on deck, at every level of, from the starters to the depth behind them, in every room, if we're being honest. So yeah, let me go ahead and bring up, before we get out of here, let me bring up this Bills game. If you guys just give me about 5-10 more minutes, and I just, like I said, just show you guys just some examples of how, number one, on what, not just these particular players I'm gonna point out, but this team in general to finish plays, to finish blocks, to finish tackles, to tackle properly. I mean, that was something we were talking about. We were talking about that with Trayvon Diggs unfortunately before he went down, about a couple years in the playoffs, maybe a tackle that he missed here or there. That was something that we would criticize him about. But so I think it's, like I said, not just these young players, not just these players I'm gonna point out, but I think everyone has room to improve on something. So my bad, y'all. It's still loading. It's still coming up. Kind of trying to talk my way through a little bit. But yeah, if you guys are still hanging with me in the chat, if you guys are still still here with me, or if you guys are listening on the replay, and if you guys want to comment down below, let me know some of the coaches that you guys are going to be looking at, or maybe individual coach. It don't have to be a positional coach. It can be McCarthy. It can be Zimmer. Maybe just name a guy who you think should be under some kind of just be under some kind of pressure. It's not just about the players executing. It's about whether these coaches can get their ideals, whether they can get their scheme across to these players. Let me see. Okay, here we go. I got it up. Okay. Okay, I'm in the wrong. I'm in the wrong window. 1 second, y'all. Okay, bet. All right, let me know if you guys can see. It is going to be filmed, so of course you're not going to be able to hear. So, that's a good thing on my part, right? I be having crazy audio issues sometimes, but I'll be trying, y'all. I really be trying. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Nisi. Yeah, yeah. Just like I was talking about earlier, McCurley. Yeah, he's definitely. I would say out of the four I would even listed today, I would say he's definitely under more of a microscope than the others because a lot of the other guys, even Solari, I'd even say that, Solari and McCurley, they've been here for a couple of years, they've had time, in this organization. So, they could definitely, like you said, Nisi, continue to improve, what I'm saying? Just continue to, you know, improve your techniques of coaching and also, what I'm saying, also your way of, conveying your message. Yeah, yeah, I agree with you, Loves Beauty. I hope that Zimmer McCarthy will coach up the facts, and that's like I said, that's something I talked about with my dad. Like I don't think either one of them should be fired after this year. I just think, I talked about it with Star. Like I just number one, I like the rapport between them two. They worked together before, and they just kind of had, like I said, at their press conference, McCarthy and Zimmer, they just seem to kind of have like a chill type, vibe going, but also at the same time, like, hey, we both gonna do our jobs. We gonna, do what's necessary and I'm gonna check you, you can check me. They just seem to have to kind of have that just kind of, like I said, kind of have that relationship already. They played against each other for years, you know what I mean? So I just kind of think like, you look at somebody who's been like your enemy, or I wouldn't say enemy, but look at somebody who's maybe, like with them two, you play each other, you played against them, your almost your whole entire career, and now you finally get to work with them. So it's kind of like two evils coming together, you know what I'm saying, to you know, like you guys. I don't know. Of course, I'm sure you guys have seen X-Men, but you saw when Xavier and Magneto had it's quote unquote good and bad, and then you see Magneto go pick up other quote unquote evil mutants to kind of build a team. But I was always on the mutant side. I love the X-Men series. So it's just like you say, you just see two evils coming together to not now we're looking to still continue to dominate the division. And now we talked about it last year. It's not just about beating the division. It's about the next step for me, in my opinion, for these Cowboys is for them to progress outside the division, beating other NFC teams, beating AFC teams. You know what I mean? We saw last year with Miami and Buffalo, even like I mentioned, other NFC teams losing to someone like Arizona, cutting it close to a team like Seattle. You know what I mean? It's about, for me, it's not just about getting over the hump as far as a championship, but I want the Cowboys to get better at beating these upper echelon teams, these higher qualified teams who are going to give you trouble, even in the regular season. I just want to see them improve with just doing, like we talked about earlier, just doing some of the basics and just, what I'm saying, getting these guys to recognize that it's not just about individual success, it's about the team. So like I said, we're gonna bring up before we get out of here some clips from this Bills game, and like I said, I just want to point out just a couple guys. We're gonna look at Bell, Clark, and J. Lou. Like I said, nothing crazy here. No, nothing crazy. All right, so here we're gonna have, this is the play I was actually talking about earlier, where Clark kind of misreads the pocket. He's actually looking at the tackle and actually kind of gets, like I said, he gets sidetracked. His hips are, facing the wrong direction, and we see the running back go right past him. So I'm just gonna run that right quick. Like I said, let me know if you guys can see. It looks like it's up on my screen, so I'm just gonna go ahead and play it. And let me get me off of here right quick. All right, there we go, y'all. And let me put it on full screen too. I'm tripping. All right, there we go. All right, we're gonna let it play. And it's the play after this. Actually, it is this play. Come on, NFL.com. We just about to get out of here. She's acting up now, y'all. I finally get to some film and then want to reload. Dang, y'all. Okay, there we go. But see, it went forward. Okay. Okay, y'all. Here's the play coming up here. So before I let it play, of course, we see Clark here. And then we're going to see the running back come up, take the ball, and just go out, go out to the outside, gain about 3 to 4 yards. And of course, we see at the very top, it may be hard for you guys to see, but right here is the first down marker. So we're going to see him, convert. And like I said, unfortunately, Clark is just like a couple feet away from him, but he misses the play. They doing me dirty, y'all. I'm really trying. Okay, there we go. See, and just that little shift, just that misread. We talk about the football being a game of inches. Just that little misread got him faced the wrong direction, and now the running back is gone, and even Mozzie behind him. He kind of fell forward too with the tackle going, pulling to the right. This is what we talk about, those mental reps. This is where they come in, where you watch film, but even just being aware of your surroundings, just keeping an eye on that tackle, but at the same time, you can't get caught looking dead into the backfield and not, being aware of every player's move. And you see, like I said, Damone Clark was right there. So it's just plays like that. Sometimes that can be frustrating. And like I said, now they're within the red zone. So you just pretty much, so they was able to change the trajectory. You can't hold them to a field goal at this point. And I mean, who knows what? I think it looked like it was third down. The referee is holding the third down stick. So that was what looked like 3rd and 3. So it's plays like that. Even just a few yards, just misdirection can cause a conversion for the other team. All right, here we go. Here's the next play. And I think this is a misread by Bell. Just gonna let it play through. All right, here's the next one. Before we go off, we have Clark up here, and we have Bell here. And we have here Clark just completely. We see him following the running back, but he loses him, and that causes a touchdown. That's all. I mean, I think that was the next play. So it's 2 plays back to back. Like I said, not all on Clark, but just it's just these simple things. These simple mistakes can cause 2 back to back plays. It can cause a scoring drive for the opposition. So I'm gonna take a look at this last play with Jay Lou, and then we're gonna get out of here because this is actually running a little bit slow. So like I said, I don't want to hold you guys. I'm gonna play this last clip, and like I said, I think this is just a good example, number one, of exhibiting patience. But at the same time, like, okay, the play we're going to see is Jay Lou kind of gets knocked back. I think by the tight end, coming off the 2 tight end set from the other side, and he actually gets knocked back, knocked on his heels. Kind of gets knocked off balance, but he still steps up, makes the play, and is able to keep the running back from converting. So let me bring this up quickly. And hopefully he'll play right. All right, so they're setting up for the next play. Like I said, they're doing bunch formation. The tight end is going to come from this side and kind of swoop around, kind of even like if you will. This is Parsons right here, and this is Jay Lou right here at the second level. He's actually going to kind of like chip Jay Lou, and he like you said, you're going to see Jay Lou kind of fall back a little bit, but you're still going to see him able to go after James Cook and able to stop the play. So I'm gonna let it run through about a couple times. I'm gonna play one more time. He's there's about 4 to 5 yards between him and the running back, and he's still able to gain on him and make a stop. I'm gonna play it one more time. Like I said, we see him come across, gets chipped, and even at this point, like I said, you guys can see. Sorry, y'all, it's my next door neighbor dog barking. About 3 to 4 yards between them, and then you see Jay Lou step up and almost get him for a tackle for loss, but he's able to, I think, get back to right where the spot is where the ball was before. Yeah, he gained about 2 or 3 yards. But like I said, in the first down yards is right here. So this, like I said, just showing patience, even being knocked back off balance. Jay Lou is still able to make a play. And so I'm talking about what the linebackers should just, follow. For example, even if you were knocked off, still stay disciplined, still keep with it. And even and shot, like I said, Shot the Law Nation, his show earlier, he mentioned Jay Lou was talking crazy in his rookie in previous years where Jay Lou was excellent in run defense. So, like I said, if some of these guys can just pick up some of these traits, and Jay Lou may be in the secondary, but he's another vet in that room. Another guy that they re-signed. Pretty much for roster depth, but as a just like I'm sure we know as a safety net for if Diggs isn't ready, but he still brings that attitude. He still brings that veteran mindset. He still brings what I'm saying, just tips and tricks that can, help these guys out. Like I said, just as early as last year, or just as late as last year, I should say, where he's still, having an impact on the game. So that's pretty much it, y'all. If y'all still with me, that I appreciate y'all. That was crazy. I expected a long show, but I'm glad I was able to get through it. I know I was talking. I know the clips took up time, but I appreciate everybody rocking with me. I really want to get this show out, and hopefully I put in a little bit because I really want to get this series to you guys before training camp. Training camp is actually is a few weeks out, so hopefully later this week, we'll see how how it goes later this week. Maybe even like early next week, maybe like a Sunday or something. I'll be able to do my next show, which will be 3. We got 5 and 4. Like I said, it's a countdown type. So 5 players I'm looking forward to, 4 coaches who I think should be under heavy watch going into 2024, and you guys got to stay tuned. Make sure you guys stay tuned for my next show. Check out the next next few 3, 2, and 1. So this is why I did this series. Like I said, not to challenge myself, but also hopefully I think something kind of creative that will help me look forward to camp and just, like I said, give me kind of a deeper dive into, what I'm looking forward to with these Cowboys and what I think they can bring in this 2024 season. Like I said, I think we may not see the like them going crazy, the craziest year we've ever seen from the Cowboys, but I think with enough discipline, with enough of Zimmer's attitude, kind of being translated through the coaches, to these players, I think it could have a good impact. And I think could raise the level. Really, I think for these players, really raise their bar. You know what I'm saying, instead of just thinking that like last year we had with the wall of players thinking I got this spot in the bag. I got this. This is mine. No one is taking my spot. These guys are gonna have to step up this year. It's gonna be great competition. I think it's gonna be crazy competition, and I think that this coaching staff is well aware that, you know, that it's going to bring the best out of these players, and now they're going to have hopefully have, you know, more diverse players to choose from, and hopefully bring, you know, just bring a different impact to this team this year. I just think that if they just had the idea in mind to, you know, progress this team and just reach different goals, and not just I mean, it is about reaching a championship. That's pretty much what it's about. But if these players can find individual goals that also help the team, I think we'll have a good, you know, like I said, I think the team can have a good, you know, a good trajectory, you know, for this season. But like I said, thank you to everybody for tuning to me for this long. If you're watching on the replay, I appreciate you as well. Like I said, make sure you guys hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the retweet button, hit my Cash App, $ MP Cox 90. Like I said, dollar helps, you know, dollar here, dollar there will really help me out. You know, if you guys can't do that, please, please, please follow me on Twitter. Follow me on IG. Follow me. Subscribe to me on YouTube. Like I said, I'm about 8. I think I said earlier about 8 subscribers away from 300, and I'm really just trying to reach that milestone before camp. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. You know, this is great. Like I said, I love sitting outside. I love talking to you, Cowboys Nation. Like I said, everything I shared today with you will be linked down in the description. I'm actually gonna, you know, do that once I hop off here and fix it up for you guys. And make sure you guys check out these interviews. It's going to be, you know, I know a lot of people like to look at the player interviews because you definitely get more, you know, I wouldn't say more, but you definitely get more, maybe more interesting things, you know, when they speak. But I like I also like the aspect of getting the coaches' opinions as well, because, you know, they're the ones who are going to be putting these schemes, you know, in these players' hands. They're the ones who are going to be drawing up these plays and things like that. So I think, I think this year could definitely be successful. You know what I'm saying? If done right and, you know, and executed correctly. So thank you guys for joining me for my show. You know, I appreciate y'all. You know, please catch me, you know, for my next show. Another thing before I get out of here, Star Chasers, off season combos will be back July 24th. We're actually going to come back the day that or the day after the guys actually, you know, travel to Oxnard for training camp, and just kind of hopefully some more news will come out, you know, by then. But, you know, we'll, you know, definitely come back with a show for you guys that Wednesday, and hopefully, you know, and get training camp kicked off. You know, we're definitely excited. You know, shout out to my girl Star. She said she's taking the vacation, a much needed vacation, and, you know, I'm just very happy, very blessed to be in this community. You know, very appreciative. Like I said, you know, earlier, but thank you, landlord, for coming through. JC coming through. Like, I love that. Thank you, Lesby. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Like I said, I love being in contact with Cowboys Nation, with the community, because like I said, we create so many ideas, just have so many opinions that could differ from each other, but at the same time, you know, it could be similar. So if, like I said, if we just all put our heads together, you know what I mean, it could really uplift this community and also uplift our team. You know, so you never know what can happen when you know what I'm saying, take the opinions of your fans, you know, because, you know, we're the ones who've been standing, you know, 10 toes down on this team for, you know, for years and years. So, you know, it helps sometimes to get, you know, to get your fans involved, you know, see what they think. Like we seen last year with Brandon Cooks getting more involved, Turpin getting more involved. I just think if the Cowboys are smarter on both sides of the ball, McCarthy with his play calling and Zimmer just bringing in his different attitude for this defense, you know, it could really change things, and that's really what I'm looking forward to. So I ain't gonna talk y'all to death. Let me go ahead and get out of here. I love y'all, appreciate y'all, Cowboys Nation. 2024 is almost here. There's a few more weeks, y'all. A few more weeks, you know, and that's what I'm telling myself too. It's just a few more weeks. I'm getting excited, you know, starting to get myself together. I can't wait to get out to camp, you know, to get y'all some clips, to get, you know, to see other content creators. Like, I'm just really excited. You know, football season is nearly here, y'all. Enjoy this summertime, y'all, because it's gonna be here quicker, you know, quicker than we think. So I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. I'll catch y'all next time. Talk to y'all later.